promoting and supporting some of the cornerstones of the American experience. It's all about family, faith, and freedom. Now let's get back to the Curtis Report with your host, Barry Curtis.
Welcome back to the Curtis Report. We do this thing every Sunday here betwixt 6 and 8 p.m. Well, that's so southern of me. Betwixt 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. right here on 100.7 The Word Christian Talk Radio. We are the number one conservative Christian talk radio show in the Metroplex right here betwixt 6 and 8. If you're listening to conservative Christian talk radio in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you're listening right here to the Curtis Report. We appreciate you being a part of the show and making us number one, making us successful here in the Curtis Report. Thank you very much for your support. We, before the break, last segment, we're talking about the removal of this flag. This young lady, this Brittany Bree Newsom, in South Carolina, climbed up the pole there in South Carolina and took down the Confederate battle flag. We're talking about that in the last segment there. We talk about this drive-by media and their narrative that they're putting out about this young lady who did this, and basically, I mean, here's the deal. She trespassed by climbing over a wrought iron fence, okay, that separated the rest of the state capitol from that portion that was walled off there that the flag is flying over. The flag's not flying over the Capitol. It's flying over, it's on the Capitol grounds, but it's flying separately. It's a separate, and it's by law that flag can fly there separately. It's the law. This Bree Newsom, who claimed she just couldn't wait. Somebody had to do this. And the left-wing drive-by radical media, liberal, leftist press, characterized this criminal act as an activist. She's an activist. CNN had a breaking news story. Activist climbs up the pole and brings down the Confederate battle flag. When did violating the law make you an activist? When did an atrocious violation of a law? And what I mean by this is, this young lady, and she had support by a young man as well, but this young lady, James Tyson, I believe, was the other young man that was with her, but this young lady wantonly and willfully stepped over a wrought iron fence, which is trespassing, climbed on top of a pole, you're defacing public property, damaging the pole, and removing a flag down, again defacing public property and stealing public property or attempting to take public property, that is a criminal act. She was later charged with that, but that is a criminal act. When you have a remedy readily in place by the state legislature who is prepared to vote on this thing, according to Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, the Republican governor, South Carolina, has put that in front of the legislature. They're going to vote on this thing after the holidays. But according to Brittany Bree Newsom, she just couldn't wait. Isn't this, this is the sickness of this. We're calling this person an activist. Somehow that act by Brittany Bree Newsom made her an activist and makes her an overnight sensation and hero, according to CNN on social media. Halfway up that pole, she was ordered by the police there in South Carolina, by the police authorities there on the Capitol grounds to come back down. She first ignored him and then willfully said, "I'm not coming down, I'm taking this flag." None of that's being echoed by the press. And here's the thing about this so-called activist. She's not an activist, she's a criminal. It's a criminal act. There's a remedy in place to resolve the issue. The state legislature is taking it up next week. But no, this is the classic liberal theology. And it is a theology. It is a religion. That if it hurts your feelings somehow, you have a right to act in violation of the law. If it hurts your feelings somehow, it's okay for you to do it. Somehow, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, it's okay for you to act out in violation of the law. There's a remedy in place for this. An activist? No, it's more like a criminal. And let me explain to you why there's a wrought iron fence around that portion of the state capitol. And let me explain to you what this, again, the leftist liberal media is not telling you about that flag. That Confederate battle flag is not flying over the state capitol building. They've got the state flag, South Carolina, and of course the U.S. flag on top. No. The Confederate battle flag that she illegally removed is flying over a monument to the Civil War dead who fought on the side of the Confederacy. It is a memorial. It is a memorial to those men who died during the Civil War. They were Americans who died during the Civil War. Unbelievable. That's why that flag is flying there. That's why that flag was specifically, per the legislature, authorized to fly there. It is a memorial to the dead of the Confederacy. It is a memorial to those who have died on the side of the Confederacy. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. No, but it doesn't matter to the liberal media. Oh, she just couldn't wait. Can you believe that response? Of course, it was all geared. The media knew beforehand she was going to do it. It was live on CNN. All of the liberal media knew what was happening here. She was going to deface public property. She was going to walk across the memorial to the dead. That's why it's a wrought iron fence there. And become utterly disrespectful. And to climb up that flag in defiance of the police officials who specifically told them to come down here. But this is so typical of what the left-wing liberal media wants to relegate the authority of the police officers to. Because this is the other part to this story. The part that the news, it would seem to me to be newsworthy is, you, Brittany Bree Newsom, are not listening to the authority of the police officers who are telling you to come down from that pole. Somehow, the liberal media just missed that part. Isn't that interesting? They want to relegate the authority of the police officers to nothing, to nil. It is a purposeful effort to marginalize the authority of the police. We see that happening across the country. We see that happening, of course, in Baltimore, in Ferguson. We see that happening in New York City. We see that happening all over the place. It is a purposeful humiliation and relegation of the authority of the police to nothing, to laughable measures. Just see him laughing on CNN. Oh, no, the police thought she needs to come down. But no, she feels like she needs to do. This is the most ridiculous thing ever. You see what's happening here? They're making mob rule. They're making just a wanton disregard for public property. They're making a wanton disregard for the rule of law in this country something that's acceptable. Relegating the authority in this country, which is invested in the police officers, something that's just insignificant. It's not important. It's not important because the greater cause is that if you feel like you've been discriminated against and you just feel hurt, then you should be able to act out regardless of the authority. That's the point they're making. That's the sickness of this. Much more on this subject here in just a second. I'm going to take a quick break. Be back with more of the Curtis Report in just a moment.